32 weeks, another week down. It just feels like such a beautiful accomplishment every time I show up and another week has gone by. It is so crazy to me that I am in my 32nd week. I'm technically 33 weeks right now, but just commenting on 32 weeks just feels crazy to me. A lot happened this week. It was a really, really hard week for us as a family. Just a lot of life stuff happening and obstacles and challenges and a lot of weariness. I was supposed to go to Hawaii with my family for just a little vacation, but I decided to stay back with my husband. He wasn't able to go, and we just had a really hard week. Also a good week together, but a really hard week. I met with my midwife, heard Eden's heartbeat, which was amazing. It was beautiful. And really just trying to orient again around birth, what we're preparing for, how's it gonna go, where's it gonna be, who's gonna be there, kind of thing. Like, I'm not afraid of birth. I know I'm fully capable of it. God provided that for me last time, and I believe he can do it again. I'm definitely preparing for it, just like I did last time, but trusting that God will come through and provide, you know, the strength and endurance for me to do it again. But as far as just like what could happen or what he might allow to happen again is what worries me. And so just talking through that with my husband has been hard. We both just are trying to figure out what to do with ourselves with all of that. But my midwife is truly an angel. Like, I think she might be a real angel. I don't even know if she's real. Just in the way that she's walked with us in my pregnancy with Malachi, and then after we lost him, and then in my pregnancy with Eden. It's just been such a gift to walk alongside her and her entire team. All of the birth workers on her entire team are just, again, angels. I feel like they're not even human. Like, they're all angels. But last week I kind of talked about just how much my therapy has been helping with birth, and something that my therapist mentioned was like, she's like, even if you don't believe that Eden is going to live, like, you need to start acting like she is. Just like, fake it till you make it. Just pretend. Can you just pretend for a week that she's gonna live? And so that's what I did for basically all of week 32. Anytime somebody brought up like when she's here or blah blah blah, I didn't say like if. I didn't correct and say if. I didn't speak from if. I spoke from when, which felt really challenging for me, but at the same time really good to challenge myself. You know, because I feel like that honors Eden, and just putting hope and faith into her life and her journey, and trusting God in that. And so that was big, doing that the whole week. And then everything that was going on with our family and life outside of grief that somehow just integrates itself into all of it, was very challenging. But at my therapy session this last week, my therapist, we did another EMDR session. And this was really about like actually visualizing, okay, like what is the best case scenario? If it were to all work out in the way that you wanted, completely without limits, how would your birth go? And how can you visualize it? How can you imagine it? And so I really sat with it. It took me a while to get there because it was really hard to even picture. But I did, and I'm not sure if I felt as much peace as I did in those moments after therapy. Really doing the hard work of sitting in my fears, and also making space for hope and making space for visualizing it. And my therapist said, like, sit down with your husband, sit down with Paul, and you guys both need to orient yourselves around visualizing what the best case scenario would look like for both of you, and how can you anchor onto that and pray for that. So that was big. And one of my beautiful lost mom friends had her son, and it was a really redemptive birth for her. And it just felt so encouraging to see such a beautiful thing happen, like a child living after one has not. And it made me feel like, okay, like it happened to her, it happened for her, it could happen to me too, because I just keep thinking like, oh, it could happen to me again, it could happen to me again, it could happen to me again, instead of thinking, if God could do it for somebody else, he can do it for me too. And I used to feel that way in my faith about so much. And now I just feel like I really have struggled with like believing that, not that God can do it, because God can do anything. I have no issue with believing in miracles with God. It's about, will he do what I'm praying for? Like, will he perform the miracle I'm praying for? Not that, can he, you know? And that's probably even more terrifying than believing if he can actually do a miracle or not. Like, it's like, is it a part of his will or plan or whatever it is, you know? And that's what's concerning. But it was good to have that therapy session and to really talk through that with Paul. So we had a lot of hard conversations this week, some difficult, challenging conversations. They were both very good for us though. And I think I felt for the first time in this whole pregnancy, like, that I could orient myself towards something being positive, you know, and birth being positive, and Eden living, and sitting in that like session and being able to come out with such peace. I was like, I need to really hold on to that is possible for me. And just everything that God spoke to me through the therapy session as well was really powerful too. Another big thing I did is I made a registry, which is like not that big of a deal, I guess, to most people. It's like kind of what you do in pregnancy, but it just felt like such a huge obstacle for me to create something when I just felt like we got all this stuff to use with Malachi last time and we didn't really get to use any of it. And granted, I didn't really need to put on a lot on the registry because we were given so much and we have so much from Malachi's pregnancy that, you know, that was good for us to just have all that prepared. But there are still things that we could get and that would help us, you know, postpartum wise and everything. And so it felt like such a big milestone, a big obstacle, but I did it. And I'm really proud of myself for doing it and taking that step. And now I need to share it. I just haven't shared it with anybody. I think that's something that really got me when I was making the registry is I found this cute little like wooden block sign that people use to like announce their baby's births and stuff like that. And it said, handpicked by Big Brother in heaven. And you could even have the name customized and everything. And there were butterflies on it. And I just broke down crying. Like, I can't believe this is my life. And so that was really hard to put that on the registry, but I mean, it would be amazing to use that. It would be amazing to use any of the things on my registry from this pregnancy with Eden and from my last pregnancy with Malachi. So that was huge. It was a really big deal, scary, but I'm proud of myself for just taking the steps. I just feel like I'm in a battle of being so negative and just like my trauma brain just wants to go, hope is so foolish. Don't do anything. you have to wait until you know for certain that she's going to live. And that also robs me of like having like a prepared and beautiful postpartum experience with her, you know, if she does live. And I don't want to rob myself and her in the rest of this pregnancy by being so filled with fear and so anxious and so negative. So this is the biggest challenge for me right now, is just believing that she's going to live, believing that I'm going to get to the end of this pregnancy with her alive, that she's going to come out alive and live after birth. Like, big challenges in my head. And I'm really trying to also think about the future as well, and like what a postpartum with a baby could look like, and even breastfeeding, you know, it feels like something so out of my reach. But I'm just grateful again to have my therapist and to be working through a lot of this and surrendering to it, you know, and really leaning into God and trying to hope that like this is how he'll redeem our story in the best way he can here on earth. You know, Malachi can't come back, but I will see him again. And I wanna raise his little sister like more than anything else in life right now. So it was probably one of the hardest weeks I've had in pregnancy, if we're being honest, mentally, but we got through it. And I think obviously it was a lot of maturing and for the better, and stretching for the better. And yeah, speaking of stretching, I found some stretch marks on my belly, which is crazy because I got them like on my hips last time with Malachi, just like the tiniest amount. They kind of disappeared postpartum, but these stretch marks are like at the bottom of my belly, and I couldn't even see because I can't even see down that far. And my husband said something about it, and he said, oh, there's a lot of like, looks like there's a lot of veins or something. And I was like, oh yeah, because my placenta's in the front. That makes sense. And then I was in the mirror today looking, and I was like, oh, those are stretch marks. Those are tiny little stretch marks. That's so wild. And I don't know, it's kind of just cute to see those. So yeah, lots of eating kicks, counting her kicks now, and I've been tracking my glucose. I think I mentioned that in one of my last vlogs, and I was able to get my fasting glucose down, which, praise Jesus, was such a challenge. My body's just really sensitive. I think my blood sugar is really sensitive between grief and stress and just everything. And so I was able to finally nail that down and get into some healthy markers for that, which was very reassuring. But yeah, we got through the week. Praise God, we got through the week, and I'm grateful for it. So here's the 32 weeks.
Head over heels for that someone. Head for the hills for nothing. Running, scared, screaming at the top of my lungs. In my many minds, my heart doesn't always agree. What I'm thinking inside. Think about it, your gut can lie. Like when you're hungry but it hurts to eat. Do you actually wanna die? No matter how bad it tastes, I want